Welcome to the sfhappio show, where you get to know apps that actually really solve your Salesforce problems. Finally, sfhappio, Salesforce Apps for a happy Salesforce.
So, welcome everyone to the sfhappio show, where we present apps and platforms that make your Salesforce really, really happy. And today with us on the show is John from the company RingLead. And John will present us today the platform of RingLead with a special focus on the scorecard. So
Well, thank you for
welcome,
having
John,
me
on the show.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Great. And before we really dive into the platform and before you show us what it is, please introduce yourself briefly and also tell us what your company does.
Yeah, so personally, I'm kind of a serial SaaS B2B entrepreneur. Been working in the space for the last almost 15 years and have been part of an amazing team at the RingLead brand that I work with today. I have a role of the Chief Revenue Officer, and I've held that for almost 10 years. But recently, over the last couple of years, have had as the product has been transforming, massively, I've been acting as an interim chief product officer and had the delight of working alongside and being mentored by Russ Arts, who is our chairman and head of development. And my role is basically there to align marketing, sales, and product. I love sales, I love marketing, and I love data, all things that are near and dear to me. So the company, right, we're an ISV partner. We were one of the very first Salesforce App Exchange partners. We've been on the App Exchange since 2004, mostly focused on data quality, hygiene, workflows, enrichment, intelligence, and just general analytics of whether your data is dirty or not. But we focus mostly on solving issues around duplicates, normalization, enriching data, verifying data, routing data, building lists, segmenting the data, linking lead records to account records, and other things like scoring and propensity models. So,
okay, interesting. And so you have your platform, right? Do you also do this as basically as project work, or do you have partners that go to the customer and basically roll out your platform at the customer?
Yeah, I think there are a couple answers to that. We absolutely work with our partners. I think every data project in its own sense is somewhat services, right? It requires strategy, and ultimately getting a data project approved in the first place requires, a business problem that needs to exist for you to solve it. And typically that's where we start to, do our consultative sales or services at the beginning to identify the problems that the business is solving, right? Is it, do you just need to prove to your company that you have a dirty data issue, or do you have really high storage costs from your marketing system because all the duplicate emails, or maybe sales reps are super inefficient because they don't have the right information, or there's a bunch of duplicates that they're often contacting, or there's commission conflicts. You got a company that you do $1 million deals or something, and you got your top performers fighting over commission. It goes all the way up to the CEO, right? Maybe you got lack of trust in your reporting and your analytics for product-led decisions, or you get a minimal number of contacts and companies making into your marketing campaigns, and you're seeing major loss on, your outbound approach, or poor lead routing, stuff like that. So we typically identify a project that we build a case and a solution around, and wrap our product into that. And we do have our own team of experts, but we're seeing, as we hit that rapid scale over the last year or two, that I'll actually bring up a slide. We have some really amazing partners that we work with today, and not all of them are on this list. And so if you are a partner and you see this, know that we love all you guys. And but this is so we've got verticalized partners in marketing automation that heavily impact the CRM system and the Salesforce administrators. And then we've got the Salesforce shops, and the Silver Lines, the Delights, PwCs, et cetera. Know of our solution or work on projects with us. But mostly, I'd say our motion at this point is helping correct customers direct, and then most of our customers also have a partner already that we work together with.
I see. Okay, cool. So now a bit you're already sharing your presentation. Let's talk about your platform, right? Because it's not just an app, it's an entire platform. And so it's called the RingLead Platform, and it belongs into the category of sales intelligence, and also data quality. So just on a high level, what problems do you tackle, do you solve, that Salesforce isn't able to do by itself?
That's a great question. I think that Salesforce is really great at a lot of things. I mean, I've built my career around it. I've built my businesses around it. We invest heavily in it, in its infrastructure internally, and it's great at doing a lot of things. But when it comes to managing the quality of the data across a global level, right? They have some really cool stuff like dupe alerts. That's, while you're typing in a new record, it might alert you that it's a duplicate. But what if you have 1 million records, or 100,000, or 30 million, whatever, and you find that you have 50,000 duplicates to work through? There's no way you're going to work through them 2 to 3 records at a time manually. It's just not scalable. So, we've actually done some research on capabilities, and if you're seeing the screen share here, right, these are actually links to conversations. So one of these is like, hey, there's no solution in Salesforce for normalizing states in batch, right? And some of us are using state and country pick lists these days. Hopefully most of us, or all of us. But there's definitely data in our databases that fall outside of those pick list values, right? So at the end of the day, here's what one of these conversations looks like. It's like, hey, create a validation rule, and there are conversations left and right on the support and the development communities, the help communities, for batch processes, real-time or prevention processes that are missing in Salesforce natively. All those conversations are documented here. We'll share the presentation with you, but from batch processes to prevention to enriching data to even the Salesforce assignment rules that are happening for leads, contacts, accounts, cases. I mean, there's some major limitations of those processes, and that's the problems we're here to solve.
Okay, so basically your platform tackles those issues that Salesforce isn't able to do out of the box in standard. So is it fair to say that your customers typically share massive amounts of data? Or what scenarios, what characteristics do typically your customers share?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm actually prepared to answer that one. I think typically the types of companies that we deal
Mm-hmm.
with, right? B2B is a majority, but B2C also has data quality issues. So every company has them. I think that Salesforce is seeing a greater adoption of that B2C arm, and that's showing growth in our customer base as well. But we typically focus on, enterprise or mid-market. If we're prospecting you, you're probably in one of those, you're probably in one of those verticals. But we also get a lot of business from the high growth SMB realm. And, some of those companies, maybe they raised 10 to 25 or more million recently, and they've got, demand gen and high velocity growth on their minds. And so they're implementing solutions like ABM and some other things that we really enable. But most of our larger customers or more, integrated are going to be those mid-market enterprise. They use a combination of Salesforce and a marketing system, right? Most companies used to create all their data in Salesforce. Now you're seeing data creation happening in Marketo, Eloqua, Marketing Cloud, Pardot, HubSpot. I just heard of another one the other day, Mautic, and Campaign Studio. So there's all sorts of point marketing solutions that push data into Salesforce that we have to be connected to as well. And we create a lot of value, and our customers have one or both systems running at the same time. Our best clients have a lot of data, or they're creating a lot of data. You might just be in, not have a lot of data, but like now all of a sudden you're creating a few thousand web forms a day or something. And so, we typically will look at like a Crunchbase rank or an Alexa rank as an indicator of, the traffic on a website, or if you guys do like a lot of trade shows or events, now it's like webinars and digital events, and you got to import
Sure.
a lot of spreadsheets, or have a lot of salespeople out there, doing outbound prospecting, or it used to be, I think they called that, just the outbound position itself. But now we see a lot of inbound users, doing a lot of that work as well. So those are kind of like the key indicators. Also, we work with a lot of VCs to help their growth companies, and they do acquisitions, and that's another thing that we help with, is if you acquire a database, how are you going to merge it into what you already have, right? And so those are kind of the verticals we play in.
Interesting. Okay, so companies that generate a lot of data, but in the end, this data is our leads, our prospects, and you help them getting better data, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think we are ready to see
Yeah.
your
So
platform, and to see some scenarios or functionality. And as you mentioned, the focus or the deep dive will be on the scorecard.
awesome. So yeah, let's jump right in. I want to
Yeah.
first show you guys that we do have the App Exchange listings, right? So again, right on the App Exchange, we do have 2 free listings that one of them, Field Trip, you probably all know. It's one of the most installed apps on the App Exchange to monitor field quality and utilization. We also have a free duplicate diagnostic on the App Exchange, but both of these tools garnered a lot of requests if you look through like the reviews on features and functionality. And so we've always had, since 2004, our main platform, the RingLead platform, on the App Exchange. And so we actually built a new functionality within the platform that is also a freemium, completely free. Use it as much as you want, install it, and track both where you are today, which is kind of what these tools do, but also the delta of change as you start to improve your data quality, which is really cool. And there's a higher level of granularity on things like creating custom filters on duplicate reports, custom merge logic, and some other things. So I'm going to jump into our platform now. It is a cloud-based interface. It connects directly to Salesforce, right? Very easy to install and get up and running. And when you're ready to basically connect the free report card, you come into the setup, and you just create as many of these what we call duplicate tasks as you'd like. So you can create a duplicate task on leads or contacts or accounts. You can do leads against contacts or leads against accounts to identify whether you're prepped and ready for ABM, right? You have a bunch of person records disjointed from their accounts in Salesforce. And what happens is we create dashboards, and you can see mine's really clean. It's at 0% over, a period of time, but that's because I've been cleaning my duplicates, right? And so you'll see that as you go, you can compare time frames within the app. So as you become a freemium customer, you see, hey, I've got this huge issue. I got 10,000 or 10 million duplicates in my leads, my contacts, and my custom objects. And we'll analyze and show that, and allow you to download those reports to share them, or take nice visual representation. And then you can also create standard or custom field trips. So you can tell the system what fields are important to you, weight their scoring variance, so that you can create really cool dashboards and report, and then review the empty fields or the fill rates on those fields. So you can see right inside of this platform, I can get a good idea for my management or my sponsors on data quality that, hey, I got a bunch of duplicates, I've got a bunch of leads that don't match accounts, and hey, on fields that I'm my sales and marketing teams are really critically relying on, like a job title, there's only 30% of that field populated in our Salesforce or our marketing system. So that means, every time some sales or marketing rep goes to build a campaign and that's a variable in their report, they're minimizing the database by 70%, right? And so
Sure.
once we start to get into the analytics and you start to identify the problems, that's when the other features come into play, like the ability to cleanse the duplicates, the ability to standardize and segment the data you have, the ability to run mass updates. Like you have a sales rep leave the company, they own 10,000 accounts, and you want to push those over to ownership of a marketing queue. You could make a one-click adjustment across all those records very quickly. Mass deletion of stale data. Then you get into the prevention of new data creating a mess, right? It's 10 times more cost effective to prevent dirty data than it is to cleanse it. And so I'm going to make this a little bigger for you guys, right? So we have an import capability here on the left-hand side. We also have a HTTP post web submission for Salesforce web to lead forms. Or if you're using Marketo or Pardot or Eloqua, we have connectors there for their web submissions into your system. And we also have triggers, right? So any new data that gets into your Salesforce, including data that's being manually entered by reps, we have a while you type prevention there. All right. And then you have the ability to basically connect any number of your data providers. So most of you probably have a Clearbit or a ZoomInfo or a Dun & Bradstreet or a combination of, many of these different verticalized data sources. And, RingLead can connect any REST API or structured data file into the format, and then we can batch and real-time enrich that data. So again, getting back into the report card, right? It's one thing to prove you got a problem, but it's better to be the one who proved you were the one to clean it up. So once you start to do the duplicate merging on leads, contacts, accounts, lead to account, once you start doing that field fill from the enrichment providers that are, a network of providers on our marketplace that can be easily plugged in, right? Once those fill rates start to improve, you're going to start to see and be able to show that, hey, we started out with a 30% fill rate on job title, but now we're at 90. And not only do we have a job title, but we have a department and a level, because RingLead is the one in the back end, instead of, using those Salesforce flows to get, job title information into department and level. You've got a whole on, configuration for mass manipulating data that I'll show you here in a moment, where, right, you could feed in all the job titles on your lead object. And if they had variations of different title and structure, or they had met certain formulas, right, you as the admin could output another field value into a separate value.
So John, so what you're doing here is just super interesting. So basically you're cross-checking job titles, and you normalize them, or you map them to one unified label.
Correct. So you can create for job
Interesting.
titles like a role or a department, or if you have a SIC library or a NACE library, you can do NACE dictionaries to your own general industries, right? If you don't want to track some databases, industry codes, you want your own, we can help you to segment any values in Salesforce to alternative values. So we even have customers that do territory values from, hundreds of variations of zip codes and stuff.
And they normalize it into to yeah, unified labels, Northeast. Yeah,
Yep.
that's very cool. And another question I just saw on the scorecard, the field trip, right? Is that basically the integration of the field trip into the platform?
That's correct. It is a field trip integration into the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also taking the requests from the App Exchange and, productizing additional features like within field trip, you're going to be able to do custom filters. You're also going to be able to do you'll be able to delete fields that you're not using, which is a major request from field trip. They're like, I know the fields I don't want to use, but I have to manually
But
one
what?
at a time delete them.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of requests that we're taking and we're building those into the new platform in the goal that we're going to get our existing base over into the platform, because it's nice to be able to analyze, but you'll see the report card have, geolocation and other things coming in on as we do our 2-week sprint releases on a regular schedule.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Can you just show it one more time, please?
Yeah, I'd love to. And again, I don't have all the different objects scanning, and I know I do a lot of a duplicate merging in my demo environment. So you see, I have a very low duplicate rate with some different reports that have fuzzy
Sure.
or more strict logic. And over time, if we were to go back to the beginning date, we'll see a much higher rate of
Yeah,
duplication,
sure.
right? So you
Sure.
can see the duplicate rates, and then your fields. So you can do a field trip again on any object. You can rank the importance of the
And
values, so
and
that
what are we
not
seeing
only,
here?
yeah, so you're able to see empty fields in a field trip,
Ah.
but you're also able to weight your most important ones,
Mm-hmm.
which will output a quality score. So this is
Okay.
like your own Q score. Once you know what data you need to support business objectives, you build those into the quality score for leads, accounts, contacts, cases, whatever object, so that as you continually run these field trips and then integrate with our data marketplace or however you're doing your enhancement of that data, you'll start to see your Q score skyrocket up. And that's
I
where you're
see.
like, hey, over the last month, I worked with, the team, we went from a Q score of 10 all the way up to 90. And those are the real insights that you can bring back to a head of marketing or sales and be like, oh crap, you guys are really turning the needle there.
Sure. And it's also you save this historically, so you will be able to see over time, as you mentioned, how data is improving and how you're enriching it, and very interesting.
Yeah, that's our core objective here is we have a lot of customers. We've been around for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
in SaaS, churn is how your business is valued, and we're trying to show, because we work with a lot of you guys that are like, we work in the data, we're ops administrators, and not all the time our work gets appreciated by those of the those sponsors above that don't see the results. They may see pipeline growth, but they're not necessarily going to attribute it to the quality of the data. So we're going to
Mm-hmm.
give our users every tool they need to support the business cases that they require to maintain this tool as a solution, rather than what's more in the past been thought of as, hey, data quality is a project, I'm going to address it once in a while. Now that we're
Right.
transferring into this digital transformation, you need data always on, always active, always quality, and we want to prep the users not only to make sure that they can get initial resources for a project like this by showing analytics, but to keep it around. Because if you show that you're preventing 10,000 duplicates a month, and making sure that you're not at a 10 quality score on fields that you're using to connect with people and stuff, it makes a big difference there.
Sure. It also helps saving time, and just sales works on the right, based on the right information. Okay, super interesting. So, John, if people would like to find out more about your platform, or even would like to try out and connect your platform to their own org, what would you suggest? Where can they go, and what would be the next steps?
Yeah, if you want to learn more, I think I'll be sharing this slide presentation. We've got video case studies. We've got documentation linked to the problems that Salesforce has natively, and some other things. And the deck will be a good resource. RingLead.com, packed with tremendous content. You can find us on LinkedIn, on Twitter. We have a Slack community that I would really recommend that you guys join. We call it the RingLead Talk Data to Me community. And you've got Marketo champions, Salesforce MVPs, Elica kings and queens, and all the alike. They're supporting each other, sharing templates. And then always, sales@ringlead.com, or our web forms, our App Exchange listings. We got listing on the Marketo launch point. We're a G2 category leader. You can submit a form there, and I'm sure if you're a qualified target, you'll probably see one or two retargeting ads around as you're searching, your different media networks.
Well done. Okay, great. So, John, thanks so much for presenting us the RingLead platform. And yeah, let's be in touch. All the best.
Thanks for having me. Wonderful being on the show.
Thank you, John. All the best. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching the SF Happio Show, where you get to know apps that actually really solve your Salesforce problems. And now, register for the SF Happio newsletter at sfhappio.com/newsletter. That's sfhappio.com/newsletter. And receive all those cool apps you didn't know they existed right into your inbox. SF Happio, Salesforce apps for a happy Salesforce.